Welcome back, runners. I very quickly want to apologize for the delay of this video. I don't really have a quick way to update all of you, but there was a lot of things going on in my personal life and some work and medical things, a bunch of things I was handling along with the final shape coming out for Destiny, which took up a lot of my time and the prep for that and doing the raid. So now that all that's past us, we should be getting back into regular uploads. Now, in case you missed it, Jake the Alright and I put out a little collab about all things Marathon, so you can check that out if you hadn't had a chance yet. I will link it down below, or you can go to my channel or Jake's channel, Jake the Alright, and look for our little collaboration video by the thumbnail. Pretty easy to find. Give Jake a hello from me. I think you guys would like him over there. So today we're going to start a new series focused on core concepts and phenomena of extraction shooters. We're going to be touching on topics such as map traversal, sound, soloing versus teaming, and today's topic, gear fear. This series is meant to build on the Marathon Extraction Shooters and You playlist. If you're new to the genre, I recommend starting out there before coming over here. However, the topics presented here are general enough to be broadly applied to any extraction shooter that has similar mechanics to Tarkov and or Hunt. I hope you guys enjoy this new series, so if this new video is interesting to you, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell down below to get notified of the new updates, and leave a like down below. Without further ado, welcome to Extraction Shooters, the Crash Course. Today's topic, gear fear. Now, gear fear is a very common mental roadblock that players, both new and experienced, can go through playing extraction shooters. It can take a lot of different forms, but I can boil it down to two, basically being existential gear fear and physical gear fear. Both of these stem from the discomfort and the inconvenience of permanently losing your items on death. The aversion to losing gear can corrupt your goals and cause poor decision making in-game and in menus. It can cause you to start looking at every item in every game as profit maximization. You might start hoarding things that you don't need with no monetary or potential value, and it can bog down your efficiency and your time and make the game unenjoyable for you. Alternatively, gear fear may always cause you to play at your worst, with cheap weapons and minimal utility, giving yourself no options and increasing your loss rate. So I consider existential gear fears to be when you've lost the plot and fallen into this self-fulfilling prophecy of I will die, and you try and fight that by filling up your inventory and stash with a bunch of things that you'll never use and end up just wasting space. Typical symptoms of this kind of gear fear include hoarding guns and items that you don't like, buying only the cheapest gear with minimal utility so that you have no way of playing around it just so you lose less money when you die, and ignoring your quests and progression and survival statistics, just trying to turn the slightest bit of profit every game that you're loading in. Now, physical gear fear is the fear that you would feel normally in the middle of a match, maybe when you find a very expensive or rare item that you want to keep, or you load it in with the gear that you like the best but you're really afraid to risk it in a gunfight. This is when your uncertainty can cause panic and poor play. You might start running for extracts trying to go faster than you're comfortable with, and you get jumped by AI or stomped through populated zones, aggroing players who are looking for PvP because you're stomping so loudly. It could also push you the other way into being too idle. You might fall behind other players on the map, trying to minimize conflict, and end up running into way more AI spawns, running out of the timer, or losing to attrition mechanics like hunger in Tarkov. These things will also kill you. Now, physical gear fear has its place. A small amount of survival instinct is good, but only if it's tempered with critical thinking. Letting your fight or flight response dictate your choices purely might help against an animal, but it's not going to save you from a hunter looking for you. So how do we overcome this? You want to learn to play without fear because it lets you play faster, learn faster, increase your survival and success chances, as well as just generally enjoy the game more when you're not constantly worried. However, since this is a psychological phenomena, you really are in a battle with yourself. So I can give you some tips and ideas and things that have helped me, or general concepts that might help you, but at the end of the day, you do have to overcome yourself and mentally accept that there are ups and downs, and you have to be ready to accept that and not expect to always survive, but still have fun while doing that. I think the most common factor contributing to gear fear is misinformation. That is to say, Most cases boil down to stress and doubt, which is propagated by an incomplete understanding of the game or its mechanics. If you're unable to assess the context of your gear and what obstacles you face, you have nowhere to start. So your first task is to learn. The amount of things to learn and the topics may vary game to game, but here's a few things that you can start with. What weapons are lethal and effective, and what are their weaknesses? How do you maximize your weapon? What are your safest map routes? How likely is it for you to get into a fight where you can't compete? Are there safe ways for you to make money, and how to do that? How can you spam games? How do you effectively handle AI? And how do you avoid unwanted confrontation? Doing research on your game should help you answer these questions in any extraction shooter. Once you can answer these and any other questions you might have, you should feel much more confident in using any gear and worry less about money since you have an idea of how to farm more. For example, in Tarkov, how can I make money? So in Tarkov, I personally make money by running my Skaven factory to quickly extract and take whatever gear they have. I'll sell whatever they came with and keep maybe the weapons and armor and maybe buy a bag if I don't have one. Then I will take that scav gear, fill in some whatever extras I feel like I need, and then run stashes on Interchange and put things in my secure container and just generally try and make it out, not go into too many fights, but I'm not worried if I die because I'm running basically scav gear. Pretty much everything I make off of those games is profit, and the survival rate's not that bad. In Hunt, how can I spam games? For Hunt, you can get pretty effective loadouts with just free hunters or really cheap. Almost everything in Hunt is extremely effective at most ranges. Sure, there are some guns that generally perform marginally better, but almost anything you can buy for the cheap or on a free hunter is good enough to get you through any game. But let's say you can just buy free hunters, and every game you play you get a free reshuffle with another free hunter in your queue. So you can spam free hunters every game. Go in, they come with healing and a melee tool and weapons, and there's generally no downside to just picking them and playing it other than you could fill in the slots more. But with that, you have the bare minimum to play games and earn money, and with things like getting clues, you are guaranteed to make some money off of that, so you can keep running and build money and spam games and learn a couple different weapons based on whatever they have free in your cycle. So you can get practice with a lot of different genres of weapon. You'll try shotguns, you'll try compact, long, medium weapons, and you get to really see what you might like without having to invest too much. Now, a fun one would be in Dark and Darker, how do you handle AI? I recently started playing Dark and Darker, and I had to learn how to fight AI because the goblins in the starter area do absolutely wreck your face and will kill you in like 3, maybe 4 hits. So they all do heavy damage, but learning how to bait, dodge, and punish them, as well as how to just outrun them, made it a lot easier. One YouTube search and a couple of Steam forum posts or a Reddit post here or there pretty much gave me all the information I need of just turn to the side and walk away, or some of them you can duck, But just learning how to fight the AI made me so much more profitable because I didn't live a single time before that, and then I was just surviving almost every game because I didn't run into a lot of people in Dark and Darker. A lot of them are just trying to get in and out as fast as possible or just dying, so learning to survive the AI means that I can learn the maps more and start looking for PvP. So I've gotten into the PvP fights. Now that I'm surviving the AI pretty much without getting hit, I can go look for PvP fights and practice those. Now, another way to think about it to help combat gear fear is to accept and enjoy the reality that these games are a roller coaster of ups and downs. It's entirely possible to have fun even on the downs. Realistically, playing Hunt, I have a lot of fun playing with some of the worst loadouts you can imagine, and just burning through all my cash as I try and get to the next prestige. And if I get to, the broke point, I get to have the joy of working my way back up because I enjoy using a lot of the really cheap free guns, really cheap or free guns, things like the Romero, the Nagants, regular compact pistols, crossbows, bows. I love all of those things. So learning to enjoy the climb and clawing your way up to the top is its own fun, and then getting to enjoy a bunch of memey things or really expensive gear once you've climbed your way up, and even if you lose, just enjoying getting to use it at all. You know, killing 2 people and then dying is fine, because you get to have fun with it in that time. There's an entire genre of extraction shooter YouTube videos and content that is just rags to riches, which is going in with maybe a pistol or nothing at all, and trying to build your way up to being the most geared in the lobby, or killing the really geared player in Tarkov when you have nothing and taking their gear. And that's like part of the dream, is getting to have your comeuppance. The simple fact is, extraction shooters thrive on transience. Anything that makes it into your inventory will leave it one day. You'll either lose it, or you'll sell it, or you'll trade it, or the game will wipe, or you'll prestige, or something else will happen, and then it's someone else's turn to use it, until it's the next person's turn to use it, until eventually it makes it back to you. Tarkov's wipes and Hunt's prestiges basically guaranteed deletion, but even if Marathon or any other game doesn't have a wipe mechanic, remember that anything you don't use doesn't really exist. It provides no value to you sitting in your stash. Anything that you use or that you loot or pick up, it's gone. It's only in your hands for now, and it only exists while you're using it. So you should have fun with what you have. Be mentally prepared to use anything and pick up things and try it out just for fun. If you're picking up things that, maybe they're really good, or they sell, or they're really expensive guns that are really meta, but you don't like using them, or you don't have the capability of modding them out to be perfect, or buying the perfect bullets in Tarkov, you might as well just sell that to another player for a large profit. Buy what you can run, what you do like, because you could probably get more out of that. Instead of having this in your vault for 20 years, you could go sell those and run things that you like 10 more times before you have to be poor again. The game isn't about hoarding large amounts of items and growing the biggest stash possible. It is about being profitable, maybe, or breaking even in general. You just have to be able to run what you want to run. You don't need to have $11 million if your loadout costs $1,000 and every 2 games you make $1,000 before you die. You've never lost anything. You're consistently earning what you need to run what you want to run and accomplishing your tasks, and maybe you want to survive more. You can do that without sacrificing your gear or running things that are meta that you don't like. And understanding that is possible, and not only is it possible, it's optimal for you to have fun and do that, is part of learning and part of getting over gear fear to me. For some people, a mental override isn't enough to break these habits, and for these players, action tends to teach more. Some difficult task or a self-challenge that, when you complete it, will leave you so confident in your abilities that you will not care what you have to use. Even if you aren't that far to that side, pushing yourself is important. So here's some things that I've done and some game agnostic tips that you can try, as well as just general advice on how to push yourself in these games. If you're a Tarkov player, you can try my offline gun game first. Put on some armor and some meds in your inventory, just enough to keep you alive, hopefully through a couple of AI, and then go grab a PM or whatever cheap pistol you can find on Parappa 1 and some bullets for it. Then go ahead and load an offline raid on something like Customs, maybe Factory, whatever map you want to play on or you're comfortable with, and then set the bots on that map to high amount and as online difficulty or lower if you're just starting this out. Your goal while in this lobby is to extract, killing as many AI scavs as possible while picking up and using their gear. Scavenge from them. You have just enough bullets in your magazine that if you have to mag dump somebody up close, you can, but it's not optimal because if you dump it all and you miss and don't get the kill, you now have to load the entire mag manually or breach load your pistol. So pace your shots, or go for that mag dump only if you're confident, because that's when you should be going for it normally. Mag dumping when you're not sure you're going to hit your shots is a very bad idea in Tarkov. So learning to place your shots, learn to patience, get a kill with that, go get their weapons, continue killing, picking up guns and ammo as you go, until you can extract. Alternatively, if you want to make this harder, you can always take the pistol with no mag and breech load it. I don't remember if the PM does this, but I believe the M4 9A1 Peacekeepers pistols do allow you to do this. And you can do that in offline games a couple times. Or you could always take it online and do this with some online scavs, which are going to be a lot fewer than in the offline, and you're probably not going to run into players as often as you'd run into hordes of AI. So arguably, offline might even be harder. But the goal is for you to be able to do this and get used to playing with like scav weapons and bad weapons in general, and get the idea that if you're able to do this with bad weapons, then with a good weapon you'd have a great time. You clear through scavs, and it'd probably be a third of the scavs in general in your lobby to clear through in the first place. So what's a player going to do when you are just constantly head tapping them with any gun? You're going to die, and then you're going to get their gear. So you can do this in offline, you can do it in online, and it's all about building up your confidence that no matter what weapon you have, you're going to be capable of surviving. In something like Hunt, my favorite way to get over loss was to play exclusively with single shotguns like the Romero, the Springfield, and then like a cheap pistol or maybe a melee weapon. These weapons force you to play at a very certain tempo and manage your cover effectively and peek in competent ways and hit your shots, because while the weapons themselves are very efficient and they work really well, they're typically very high damage and very lethal. Having only a single shot forces you to spend a lot of downtime in cover if you're not able to kill them, and if you're out in the open, you most likely die. So learning to play cover makes you a very efficient killer. And then once you get used to this and you start making profits with this and you become reliable with these kind of weapons, when you move to guns that have 5 in the mag and they rechamber in 1.5 seconds instead of 4 seconds, or you get semi-auto weapons, or you get weapons that are capable of two-shotting from way further away, it becomes a lot easier. You feel so much more efficient, and you can jiggle peek faster because you're so used to doing it with slower weapons. You can just pop in and out of cover, get into gunfights really fast, put your follow-up shots on target, and it gives you this sort of background in being efficient before you start going to extremes and getting mag dumps. Before you give yourself forgiveness in your weapon, you want to give yourself the skills to use a weapon. If you want gear fear tips for practically any extraction shooter though, my best recommendation is to find a way to either spam free games or play games that are extremely cheap. It's going to vary from game to game. Dark and Darker, you get free loadouts pretty much anytime you die. But I don't know if Marathon will do something similar, or any other extraction shooter that might be coming out will always give you something free versus having to put in some minimal amount to run some really cheap gear. But either way, the most efficient way to work on gear fear, along with a mindset change, is just running cheap things. Don't worry about losing it. Don't even think about dying. Don't worry about what your money says. Just load into games and spam them as much as possible. Play aggressively, play passively, try and learn a play style. Try and figure out a way that regardless of your weapons, you have a good chance for survival. And find a way that you can make money even with the cheap loadouts. And doing that, you will generally find that money is an irrelevant question in these games, and the answer is, yeah, I have it. Even if you become poor and lose every dollar that you ever had in one of these games, earning it back is not necessarily difficult. Sometimes it could be time consuming depending on the game, but it's generally not a difficult thing to do. And if you learn to enjoy the time spent farming money, or you find a way to spice it up and make it your own in a way that you enjoy to earn money, then losing all of it's not a problem. Ultimately, no matter the method, your only goal is to overcome yourself. So if you're surviving at a 50-50 rate, but you're making your money back, you're not losing anything. Maybe you die and you're not going on these kill streaks you want to go on, and you're not surviving 10 games in a row, but you don't need to. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and practice and have fun getting to that point and have fun doing it. But it shouldn't be unfun to go 50-50 and not lose anything. The act of playing the game should be fun. Getting into gunfights should be enjoyable. You should be getting into fights with things that you enjoy using on maps that you like and enjoy the mechanics of the fights and just have a good time. You don't always have to go 40-0 in COD to have fun. Sometimes going 20-20 is a good game. That's true in extraction shooters as well, but it feels a lot more stressful when you see things going down. When you see your money going away, when you see your guns disappearing, it can feel bad. But really, you have to change your perspective from I'm losing things to I'm clearing up space to go get more things. Remember, it's a game, it's fun. You don't have to be a multi-billionaire, you need to have fun. Sure, you might die with anything that you like, and you might give away something good to somebody, but the odds are you will kill somebody and get that weapon back later down the line. Coming down with gear fear is both debilitating and unfun, so I hope that this video gave you some ideas or resonated with you in some way to help you mentally prepare for this or overcome it. Most people know when they get into an extraction shooter that the games are hard, and that is an accepted thing. But losing over and over still feels bad. But the same as people who got into Dark Souls and Elden Ring, sure, you can lose all your souls over and over and over again, but killing the boss is still killing the boss. So, as down as you get in an extraction shooter in Tarkov and Hunt or what have you, winning and surviving still feels amazing. Winning a gunfight that you feel like you should have never won and getting a crap load of good gear off of that guy always feels great. And that's what you're here for. You're not really worried about the 20 times you die, because odds are you're not always going to make it out. And you go in knowing that and accepting that, but trying to have fun regardless of that, and trying to have fun on the way up. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy this, let me know down below if you are kind of interested in this series, or if you want me to go deeper into these topics, or would want a more broad overview of these topics. Going forward, I'm not sure what the next video I want to do is just yet, but I am thinking about the map video, maps and sound maybe, combining those two for general traversal, which should be really good video. Probably one of my two favorite topics in extraction shooters. But yeah, if you enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.